Today, we are opening up the source material on a concept that's, well, it's almost sacred in modern culture, isn't it? Work-life balance.
Oh, absolutely. It's held up as this ideal state, this, perfect equilibrium, harmony, boundaries, avoiding burnout. That's the goal.
That is the goal everyone seems to be shooting for. But what if striving for that balance is actually, well, getting in the way of massive success? Our source material today really takes a sledgehammer to that idea. It forces us to look at a, frankly, brutal counter-argument from someone who lived the extreme, John Liautaud.
Right, the founder of Jimmy John's, the huge sandwich chain.
And his take isn't subtle. He's famous for saying work-life balance is, and this is a direct quote, the biggest line of Bullsh that's ever been created.
Wow. Yeah, that's designed to get a reaction, for sure.
It really is. And look, you have to take it seriously when you consider his results, right?
Yeah.
It started with just $25,000 from his dad.
A small loan, yeah.
And eventually sold a majority stake for, reportedly, $700 million. So his philosophy, however extreme, comes from a place of, well, massive success.
Definitely. And that's why we need to look at the context. We're not here to just, promote toxic hustle culture or anything like that.
No, absolutely not.
Our mission in this deep dive is really to understand where this extreme view comes from. Is it maybe a hard truth for certain people, like entrepreneurs starting out? Or is it just, dangerous advice that's out of date? Okay, let's unpack this.
Right. To really get the intensity behind that quote,
Yeah.
you have to go back to the origin story. We're talking 1983.
Yeah.
Liautaud opens his first shop, Charleston, Illinois. He's only 19 years old. And this wasn't some slick VC-backed launch.
No, not at all. It was pure bootstrap. And that experience, it shaped everything for him. The source material is clear. His dad gave him a choice. Take the loan for the business or join the military.
For failure just wasn't on the table.
Exactly. And he wasn't just the boss. He was the business. Head of marketing, procurement guy, janitor. Oh, and the guy making the sandwiches. Often the only guy.
That level of commitment, it was just radical. And this is the foundation for his whole philosophy. You see it in those early years. Working, 16, 18-hour days?
Often 7 days a week, yeah. It's hard to even fathom.
And the story that really drives it home, the one that shows zero separation between work and life.
The flour bag.
Yeah. He didn't just work late. He lived there. Slept on a flour bag in the back of the store.
Because going home was a waste of time. A luxury he couldn't afford.
Pretty much. If you sleep on a flour bag,
Yeah.
you're not working for the business anymore. You are the business.
That's it, exactly. And that creates this incredibly strong identity connection. It's central to his whole argument. For Liautaud, business wasn't a 9-to-5 job. It was like his entire life, his identity.
If the business did well, he was doing well.
Right. And if it failed, his life failed. So this idea of balancing work and life, it just didn't compute. It was all one thing. Maybe work-life synthesis is a better term for his experience.
Which leads straight to his really ruthless take on competition. He said, if you're going to start a company, you better be ready to have no balance.
Because if you have balance, you will fail versus the guy that doesn't have balance.
Yeah. He saw it as a zero-sum game. Dedication wins. If you rest, someone else who's hungrier will just outwork you.
It's a brutal way to look at the startup world, isn't it? But it forces you to think, maybe in those very early, fragile stages, that kind of absolute commitment isn't just an advantage. Maybe it's required for survival.
Okay, so let's break down why he thinks WLB is a myth for founders.
Yeah.
There seem to be 3 core pillars to his argument.
Right. The first one comes straight from that competitive view, the find a way mentality. It's incredibly simple, almost harsh. Either you find a way or you find an excuse.
And in that context, when you're just fighting to keep the lights on, cash flow is tight, your own money is in the business, seeking balance starts to look like an excuse, doesn't it?
It becomes the reason you don't do the hard things. He gives examples, right? Like striving for balance is the excuse for not making that extra sales call Friday evening.
Or putting off firing staff that aren't working out.
Or fixing the broken fridge at 2 a.m. You wait till Monday, right? But the business needs it fixed now. Survival means tackling the immediate crisis, no matter the time or personal cost.
That makes a harsh kind of sense, especially when there's no safety net.
Okay, pillar number 2. This feels really important, the psychological side. Passion as fuel.
Yes. This is critical. He wasn't just grinding away hating his life, or at least that's not how he frames it.
He claims he wasn't burning out because it wasn't just work.
Exactly. The source material suggests this insane workload was fueled by a deep, almost obsessive passion for building his thing. He actually claimed he never felt like he was working a day in his life back then. Sounds a bit like that flow state people talk about. When you're so absorbed, time just disappears.
It could be. When the challenge matches your skill and obsession and you own 100% of the outcome, the satisfaction is immediate. It fuels itself.
So balancing that would feel like turning down the volume on your life's purpose.
Potentially, yeah. The key insight here, maybe for you listening, is that this level of commitment, it's probably only sustainable, even for a short time, if you're deeply connected to why you're doing it. Trying to work like that for someone else's dream.
Instant burnout.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Right.
Okay, but there's a huge caveat here, isn't there? Which is pillar number 3. It's a season, not a sentence.
Crucial point. This is often left out when people just throw the quote around. He's talking primarily about the startup phase, the first, say, 5 or 10 years. The price of admission, as he puts it.
He's not saying work 100 hours a week forever.
No. Once Jimmy John's got bigger, had systems, managers, stability, once it could run without him literally sleeping there, his role changed completely. That extreme grind was temporary. It was the means to achieve scale and eventually that massive exit.
Okay, so we've laid out his case, the price of admission.
Yeah.
But that was the 80s. Things are different now. We talk way more about mental health. Burnout is a real concern. How does this advice land today?
That's where we need to be critical, absolutely. Taken at face value, just telling someone, have no balance, that can be incredibly dangerous advice now. We know the long-term costs of chronic stress, no sleep, broken relationships.
And isn't there a huge survivorship bias problem we hear from Liautaud because he won?
Exactly. How many thousands tried the no-balance approach and failed anyway? They ended up with nothing but the broken health and relationships.
Yeah, that's the risk. If your entire identity is the business and the business fails,
Yeah.
it's not just a financial loss.
It's an existential crisis, a total collapse.
So clearly, the hustle at all costs isn't the only way. The source material does mention that plenty of successful modern founders actually push for delegation for boundaries.
Right, precisely to sustain performance long-term without burning out or breaking down. Think about people championing deep work now.
Yeah, focused bursts, not just endless hours.
They value focus over sheer time logged. They build systems to delegate, protecting their own energy for the really critical stuff.
Which brings us to this idea that's replaced balance for many, work-life integration.
Which sounds similar, but it's different. Integration, done well, is more self-aware, maybe. It's not about sleeping on the flour bag. It's about, say, using technology to blend things intentionally.
Okay, give me an example. How is that different from Liautaud's synthesis?
Well, Liautaud's synthesis was physical. He was the business, always there. Modern integration might be checking critical work emails while you're waiting at the airport.
Or firing off a quick client response during your kid's soccer practice downtime, using those small pockets of time.
Exactly, using the in-between time. But, and this is key, integration ideally requires self-awareness to stop it from just taking over everything. You choose when the lines blur healthily rather than the business just demanding 24/7 access. It's about designing a schedule that allows for high performance and quality relationships.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the takeaway for the listener? Is the Jimmy John view just an artifact of the 80s, totally outdated? Or is there a hard truth in there we maybe don't want to hear?
It really pushes you to ask, what level of commitment does it actually take to get something massive off the ground? 0 to 1, as they say. It's less about morals, more about input versus desired output.
So the ultimate lesson seems to be about understanding the cost. Whether you're starting a company, leading a huge project, whatever, achieving something truly exceptional often requires radical commitment and sacrifice.
And this is the modern application, that commitment needs to be intentional and strategic. You can maybe capture the intensity of his focus without necessarily adopting the self-destructive parts.
Right. So 3 things to think about. First, a serious passion check.
Yeah. If you're not genuinely passionate about what you're grinding on, that level of sacrifice will feel like torture. It'll lead straight to burnout. The cost just won't be worth it.
Makes sense. Second, season awareness.
Understand what season you're in, year 1 of a startup. Yeah, that might be war. It might demand 70-hour RICs. But year 5, if you've built things right, it should look different. You have to consciously recognize when that war season needs to end.
Good point. And third, defining your intentional imbalance. Forget the perfect seesaw.
Right. Decide what level of imbalance is acceptable to you and for how long. For Liautaud, balance was building the business. For you, maybe it's protecting family dinner 3 nights a week, no matter what, even if other times are pure grind. You set the non-negotiables.
So Liautaud's quote, it's like a wake-up call.
It's a grenade, really, thrown into this polite chat about time management. It's meant to shock you into assessing your real commitment level. Because the truth is, even with sustainable structures, big goals sometimes demand periods of intense, focused, maybe unbalanced effort.
Which leaves us with a final question for you, the listener. A big one.
Yeah.
If radical commitment is sometimes the price for outlier success, how do you personally, honestly, assess the long-term ROI on the human cost? The sleep, the health, the relationships you sacrifice during that intense season.
That calculation.
Yeah.
That's the deepest dive. And the answer is different for everyone.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the real cost of success and the mythology around work-life balance. We hope this gives you some clarity for your own path. Keep learning.